Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Chill Film Discussion. I'm
Yay.
Patrick. Here's Austin. Today we reviewed, or not reviewed, we discussed a movie called 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. It's a 2016 American action thriller film that's based on true events that happened in 2012 when Libya, when there was this American diplomatic compound in Benghazi, Libya, that was attacked by waves of militants, Libyan militants, on September 11th and going on to September 12th of 2012. So yeah, it basically follows this annex security team. There's six guys who basically help fend off these militants.
Right.
And yeah, overall, I mean, it's also directed and produced by Michael Bay. So lots of action, lots of fast-paced action. But also something I personally liked about this film is I did enjoy the pacing, the ebb and flow of like tension rising and falling in between battles, in between waves. And I thought that it was really nice to like see like there's like this high octane action. Of course, that's like you know not surprising considering it's a Michael Bay film. But also there's these moments in between where you got to like see feel more about like get to understand more of the characters themselves. I mean, John Krasinski's character who plays Jack Silva, he's like the main character of this film, and you sort of like got to see sort of his perspective, his interactions with the rest of the crew, and yeah, overall, like in between those like moments of like fierce battling, there was these nice downtime, I think, where like you got to see like the chemistry of it between the cast, and I think it kind of showed, and it felt like it was like it never felt forced. The acting was very good, in my opinion. The and I mean the plot is pretty straightforward since it's based on historical events, but some of the things that I thought were a bit off for me in this film was that like in the end, like first of all, spoilers alert, but like at the end of the battle, like how it ends is like one of the GRS team members is like he just pulls out like this jumbo, like this sign, like this peace sign,
Yeah, this symbol,
the
right? And
symbol,
gesture.
gesture against these what they think are like Libyan threats coming in, and then the Libyan soldiers are like, "Oh yeah, peace, we're friendlies," and it's like where's the communication? Like this isn't how like it's like sure. I mean, I it's supposed to build tension. It's like, oh yeah, this third wave or whatever is like the biggest one, and there's no way that they're gonna survive it. But like historically, I don't think that I highly doubt that happened. And secondly, like it's like forced drama for the
Yeah.
sake of it. Didn't feel like it didn't feel natural. It was basically it. That and then also like one of the characters, one of the CIA analysts, the female Sona, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a couple of scenes, but to be honest, like her role was very much like not necessary, not really needed for the purpose of the film.
Right.
Like her role kind of felt like if her screen time was gone and they put it more into like other characters like the GRS team, like I think would have been like the film would not have suffered had her role not
Right.
had she not played a role in the film. But yeah,
Right.
I felt like it was her. Yeah, her basically her role is sort of unnecessary for the movie itself. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than small quips about like some of the I don't know, I guess Michael Bay representation of action, like the lighting, like the glaring gunshot bullets trailing with light.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, that's fine. I guess you understand the action. Um, but yeah, despite all the high octane action, I think another thing that this film did pretty well is like the subtlety of life in Libya, or like just like violence and everything, and how affect like how um, you know despite the fact that it sort of almost like there's a sort of humanization of um, like the Libyans in general, regardless of like as the team was going through and watching like they saw the Libyans watching the civilians watching soccer, and it's like oh just another like Tuesday night or whatever, um, and also at the end, this is something I did I appreciated personally, but like when the um, when the children and the women were mourning the deaths of even of the aggressors, even though they were like the bad guys, the terrorists. I I mean, it's still loss of life, and still to contemplate, like like maybe, you know, yeah. I mean, in a sense, they're being humanized, but at the same time, like life loss is still life loss. It's still like
Right.
tragedy in some sense. So, yeah. Overall, I give him my rating at the end after Austin has his concluding remarks. But overall, I think it was a pretty solid movie. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a good movie to watch. It's just just kind of a basic like war film. We got like shootouts everywhere galore, right? They're
Hmm.
in the desert. But even then, I think it did show. It was action packed. I was always had this tension and thriller of like who's the enemy, who's not.
Mm.
I think they really emphasize that well, and they show kind of great restraint on the behalf of these soldiers, these contractors that are trying not to make a mistake and trying to see who they can fire upon.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because of that, that added, I think, another level of tension because you don't know, you want to be careful of who you shoot, right? So I
Yeah.
think that kind of added to like the the stakes of the movie.
Hmm.
But I did like, enjoy the action. I did enjoy all the shootouts that were happening. Sometimes I did feel it was like, a bit confusing because I wanted to establish like who was where and who was who. Especially when night came, right, trying to figure out what was happening because everyone started to have like grease and blood and whatnot. So it's kind of hard to distinguish. At that point, I think it just evolved into just like a random shootout, like just everyone trying to defend the compound. But even then, that was pretty exciting to see a battle happening, right? Gets the blood pumping. Um, I think throughout the film, that the main draw was just the fighting. But yeah, as you said, I think the pacing was good. I was pretty much engaged for the whole movie. Yeah, I don't think it was it didn't seem too long, like 2.5 hours. I was able to sit in my seat and watched it throughout the whole time. I think some of the softer moments maybe could have been changed. As I said before, I think the I maybe not would have focused on Jack, who was played by John Krasinski. I might have focused on Roan and his family interaction and trying to give him characterization. But I do understand there might probably have been logistical concerns. But I think for a more emotional weight, right, more dramatic moment, focusing on Roan as a lead character or having his showing at least his family interaction would have definitely made it a lot more emotional. Especially after he dies, but
Mm.
kind of like a heroic death. So, um, but yeah, I think the whole scene between Jack and his family is kind of there's always this scene I think in any war movie post 9/11 where there's like a family the soldiers calling back his family. I felt that's always generic, and here I felt like the same thing. It didn't have any emotional weight. Maybe I would have changed it differently in terms of how they interacted, especially at that one scene at McDonald's. But even then, I just
Mm.
think everything else. Um, just having something maybe a different formula, right? Because every movie has the same kind of emotional moment downtime, and I think something different needs to be displayed. Because here I don't think it just didn't feel genuine to me. I wanted to maybe have something more or have it sprinkled in a little bit more than what we saw the glimpses of.
Mm.
I did appreciate how the movie kind of showed, the different allies that the Libyan allies, but there are people who ran away, but there were so those few who kind of stick to fight. There was the translator, right? He stick with them as well as the two guys from the militia who we all saw fought. I definitely wanted to see maybe like more emphasis on the effects that the war had on them, right? I think that would have been more emotional as well as their contribution, and as well as maybe other Libyans who kind of helped and solved, you know um, ways to help defend and contribute to helping the Americans. I know you said that you liked the whole ending where they were mourning.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't, I don't think it was good to humanize element, but I do think you're right that it kind of probably it's a way to make this movie a little bit well rounded and give a message about like the cost of war. Personally, I just probably did not appreciate it as much.
Hmm.
But other than that, I think yeah, this movie definitely a good good fight scenes all around, and that was the main highlight, right? It's just seeing these guys fight, and trying to survive.
Yeah.
And I think maybe one more thing is just to maybe a little bit more emphasis on the ambassador, just because he was a big figure in Kill. I mean, they kind of showed him a little bit, and then we don't really see how he dies. He kind of is a forgotten element until like the middle of the movie, until the end as well. But other than that, I think it's just a depiction of history, and it's definitely dramatized, but definitely good to see how things kind of went down.
Sweet. What's your rating, Mr. Austin?
My rating for this movie, I think, the movie overall, the lot of action. Sometimes it felt like maybe a little bit generic, but definitely was something that I can sit through and enjoy. So I probably give it a 7.5. I think. Um, would I recommend this movie? I definitely, if someone asked me if I should watch this movie, I say yes. You probably, it's a good movie to watch, action thriller, but I think, only if you like war movies and like shootouts and action, because otherwise I think you might either be bored, it might not, take away
Right.
a lot from this movie. It's not really kind of deep, right? It's a
Yeah.
depiction, biographical kind of, historical event. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'd give this movie an 8. Um, so pretty similar to Austin. Like it's like I said, like I mean the action I think was well filmed, and I did appreciate the even though even the moments where there wasn't any action, I thought, like I said, emphasized before, the pacing of it was pretty decent, pretty good. Like the parts where there was downtime, I thought were well executed as well. Well executed as well. um, but yeah, um, I would recommend it if you're looking for like just a general like action thriller film, um, or if you're looking for the sense of freedom. If you're feeling patriotic, pull out this movie.
sure. Yeah,
Um, for what it's intended, I think it did a fairly good job. So,
I agree. I
um,
agree.
yeah, I think this, and also I had a little bit of actually I didn't know it was directed by Michael Bay, but
Yeah.
if I had known it was directed by Michael Bay, I would have had a little bit more hesitant going forward with it. Actually, to be honest, because my impression of Michael Bay is just like senseless action,
Right.
but this wasn't senseless action. I mean, yeah, for the most, yeah,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
very, it was not senseless action. So
It
it
was
was,
this movie was very jingoistic as well, like a lot of promotion of America,
yeah,
right? But I think it
yeah,
still did a good job in terms of like telling a story of like what happened on that day of that attack.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, that concludes our discussion of 13 hours. That's all from us today. I hope whenever you watch this, if you watch this, hope you have a good day, and we'll see you
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.